Tragedy Girls is a horror comedy from 2017 dealing with the slasher genre, kind of playing with that a little bit, as well as the social media obsessed youth looking for hits and likes and retweets and all that in search for some kind of validation. And to be sure, I guess it's, maybe not trailblazing in that concept, not mind blowing there. There's quite a few other movies that you could probably find with those kinds of themes, but maybe not quite as good as this one. Maybe not quite as funny and entertaining as this movie does kind of end up being. A lot of that is kind of due to the fact that I think before being, primary slasher kind of deal, it is a comedy first and foremost. So the comedy is definitely in fuller focus here. Like, so it's not so much a tense, thrilling kind of movie as it is a movie that doesn't quite take itself too seriously, isn't trying to kind of convey this huge, deep message about youth and culture and all of that. I mean, it gets its point across pretty explicitly, and its heart is on its sleeve in that sense, and kind of where it succeeds is in just reveling in the debauchery of its two lead characters. That's Brianna Hildebrand playing Sadie and Alexandra Shipp playing Michaela, the two best friends, the tragedy girls, and the really good chemistry that they have. Kind of the core of the movie is their friendship and kind of how it is challenged and all that. So I think that's where the strength of the movie lies. And in watching it, I didn't really have any idea really what it was about. I just kind of saw the brief synopsis, decided to check it out, and kind of right away you get an idea of what its sensibilities are and kind of what its tone is. So it establishes that pretty firmly, pretty effectively right away. And so either you are going to succumb to the charms of it and kind of fall in love with it, or maybe you'll find it kind of cheesy and annoying or something like that. Your taste may vary, but I absolutely succumbed to the charms. I absolutely kind of fell in love with it, and I really enjoyed the movie. Uh, Basic plot we got going here: Sadie and Michaela, they're best friends in high school. They're popular enough girls. They're cheerleaders. They're uh, popular enough, and they have their own blog, the Tragedy Girls, and they've been following through their social media accounts this killer in the town, the Rosedale Killer, and finally they're able to kind of set a well, as the movie opens, actually, we're seeing them kind of set this trap for him, and they lock him up, and they actually kind of want to learn from him, and they want to see, how he does what he does, how he gets away with it, and all that stuff. And they're using this hot story of the Rosedale Killer terrorizing this town as a way to get more attention on social media, and they're craving that, and they're planning the best they can, and soon enough they're enacting their own murders and framing him for it and reporting on it and getting more and more followers and all that kind of stuff. So that's basically the plot of the movie. But of course, things get a little complicated. We have sort of a love interest in Jordan, played by Jack Quaid from The Boys. You may recall. He's kind of the nerdy kid with a little flame burning for Sadie, and they're using him to edit their videos to make them look really good. But then Sadie does end up catching some feelings. But his father happens to be the sheriff in the town. He's head of the law enforcement there. So there's some conflict there, and there's conflict between Sadie and Michaela. as they're not quite seeing eye to eye, and this friendship is challenged, and they really have to kind of come to terms with how they're going to keep this big master plan progressing, and what's going to risk them losing all this big internet fame that they've gone through such great lengths to attain. So there's the conflict there. Throughout, there's, as you can expect in this kind of movie, lots of interesting kills and very creative ways, and interesting kind of bloodshed that's scattered about, which is fun. Like there's some really funny kills in the movie. Some stuff, I mean, you got to give it some credit. The way they kind of execute them is quite amusing. Well done with the effects. Well done in just kind of how these two girls react to it all. Like they're characters that kind of respond to this world of the macabre in a way that makes it seem just so normal, and just like any other thing that anyone else would do for views, for likes, things like that. So nothing really phases them, which kind of makes it all the more amusing. And of course, I would say there's a fair amount of tension once kind of the conflicts between the characters arise, and once they are at odds, and how they're going to solve this dilemma in a story that reaches towards its climax in a tried and true prom setting at the high school. So you can obviously expect some hijinks to go down there, and indeed it does, without any spoilers. This is a spoiler-free review of the film, just in case you're worried I might give some stuff away. There's some good stuff that I would not want to reveal. Though there is an interesting cameo, which I don't, well, maybe part cameo, just part smaller role, but it randomly, Craig Robinson shows up in the movie, and he's really funny. His scene is really good. And, just good acting all around. I mean, Brianna Hildebrand and Alexander Shipp, they're absolutely great in their roles. I mean, they hit the tone perfectly with how this movie has to be, and they have good comedic senses in presenting these characters, and of course it's all kind of aided by Tyler McIntyre, the director. His style, it is a stylish movie. Like it doesn't go too overboard with certain you know transition tricks, editing tricks, camera tricks, things like that. But it's flashy enough that it's helpful to the film's kind of, I don't know, whimsical tone. So it's very good, and of course there's a really good soundtrack to the movie. Some good music throughout the whole thing, and just very entertaining. So I think this is one of those movies that maybe will divide people and think, okay, it's too obvious with its message, it's too goofy with the humor, it's too cheesy in a way, but I don't know, it hit exactly the right marks for me, and I found it to be incredibly entertaining. And for a movie that I knew nothing about, this came as a really nice surprise to me personally. So I really enjoyed it. I've watched it twice now, and I think it's definitely a movie worth watching over again, and worth bringing back into circulation. Horror movie marathons for Halloween time, for October time. And of course, sometimes I'll like to start off October with like kind of lighter fare, more of the comedy centered types of movies. So this is absolutely perfect for that. It's absolutely the right tones for not like gruelingly scary or anything like that. No, it's a lighthearted enough movie that if you do happen to be a horror fan, do you happen to be a gore hound, it delivers all that without the intensity of all that kind of stuff, which is fine. I mean, sometimes you got to look at this wacky, crazy stuff and get a good laugh at it, and it delivers on that. And for that, I'm grateful for this movie. I was quite impressed with it. So that's my review. Thank you very much for watching. We're doing 31 Days of Horror all this month on the channel. New horror movie reviews throughout October. Be sure to keep up and watch each review, and comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, stay scared.